Hey everyone, I hope you're doing great. Last week my Python Cyber Summer Camp started. It's basically advanced Python, and during the first session we explored what happens when you execute a Python script. And what happens is tokenization, parsing into an abstract syntax tree or AST, that's basically another way to represent the source code, and that gets compiled into bytecode and the bytecode gets finally executed. Now, one of the exercises I had for our attendees, and by the way you can still join if you're interested, is called I like trees. It's a reverse engineering exercise, and in that exercise you get a PNG, and that's a PNG of an abstract syntax tree of a certain function. So what you have to do is you have to reverse engineer that representation, AST representation, into Python source code, then you have to reverse the function, and then you finally get the flag. So what I wanted to do today is I wanted to show you how to solve this exercise and maybe get you interested in our Python Cyber Summer Camp. So let's get going. The first step is of course to download the exercise. If you have access to this workshop, you go to workshops, then Python Cyber Summer Camp, and in exercises it's called I like trees. Now you can see already the tree here, and it looks like this. We basically have one function and quite a lot of nodes of different kinds. If we read the exercise, it goes like this. Recently, something started to eat our functions. Thankfully, in the attached code, only one is missing. And thankfully, we have its AST. We get a file to download, and we also get a hint. After you derive the source code from the AST, you'll have to analyze it to figure out what input gets accepted by this checker. It will have the flag form of hexa, then curly braces. You might even have to create a matching decoder, which is pretty standard for reverse engineering functions. So I already have this downloaded, therefore we can look at the content of the zip file and get going from there. After unpacking the zip file, we get two files. One is called I like trees PNG and one is called I like trees py. We already know that the AST is in the PNG file, so let's look at the Python one. It says on top, oh no, we are missing the encoder function. Luckily, we have an AST of that function in the I like trees PNG, which we know. Re-implement that function based on the AST. Okay, and then what happens is a pretty typical reverse engineering challenge setup, meaning we get asked for input, the prompt is enter the flag, then that input, whatever is provided, is passed into the encoder. So the encoder basically encodes the input into some form, and I'm guessing that form is going to be a list of integers, because then we have a comparison of whatever is the encoded output, or rather output of the encoder is compared to a list of integers. If that is correct, if it's matching, we get correct, that is the flag. So this already means that what will happen is we will have to reverse engineer that AST into Python source code, analyze it, and then reverse it to write a matching decoder. Okay, so let's look at the tree now. And the tree looks like this. We have one function. The function has a name which is called encoder. It has some arguments, body, and so on. So while looking at it, we can already start translating it into Python. Therefore, I'm going to put my editor side to side with this view of the function. So we know we have a function, therefore we know it's called encoder because one of the properties of this node is called name, and it's called encoder. Okay, so encoder. Then it will have some arguments. Arguments, the property of the function is here. And we have actually, here's like default empty, qualified arguments none, qualified defaults none, and so on. Only args are filled, and it's only one node as well. One argument, and that argument is called p. It doesn't have any annotations, any type annotations, any type comments, nothing like that. Therefore, we just know that it takes one argument, which is called p. Let's mark it in the source code. Okay, now what other fields for function definition do we have? We have a decorator list, which is empty. It doesn't seem to return anything, or at least it doesn't have a type defined for that, which means we can ignore these nodes and focus on the body. The body is basically the statements which are inside the function. We have only 3 statements, so this is pretty good. Let's start with a 0 statement, and it's an assignment operator. An assignment operator is basically like a equals 5. That's an assignment operator. And we have the target. The target is called ID. There's only one target, and it's called ID. Oh, sorry, its ID is nums. Okay, so we have nums. Numbers, I guess. So nums, it's equal to the value, there's type is not set, which is good. The value is a list of elements and it's empty. An empty list. Okay, so it's an assignment to nums of an empty list. Perfect, that was pretty easy. Let's look therefore at the first statement, or rather second statement, statement of index 1. It's a for statement. Okay. The for statement has a target, which name is ch, so I'm guessing that's going to be for ch in, and then we have the iterator, and the iterator is a call to a function, which the name of a function is p. How is it a call to a function then? Okay, and arguments are empty. Okay, p is the input, so I'm guessing it's not really a call to a function, rather than that is just... yeah, it's just like p, I think, or maybe wait, there's an attribute encode. So p.encode is actually what's being called. Now I understand it, okay. So we have an attribute, and the value is p, so it's p, and then the actual call is made to encode, which we get basically attribute encode from p, and then we do a call for it. That's why it's specified like that. Which means we are going to process, or rather encode the input as UTF-8, we get a series of bytes, a bytes object if you will, and we are going byte by byte then. Okay, and then the for has a body, and the body is only one statement. Okay, so that might be one line, basically. And it's an expression, okay, and the expression is of a call expression, so we are going to call something. And we are calling an attribute, okay, so again an attribute, we have to get nums, and the attribute name is append in nums. And this is a call, and the call actually has arguments. Arguments, only one argument actually, and it's a binary operator, okay, so a binary operator means, you know, for example, addition, you have something on the left, you have something on the right. The actual operation is a XOR, okay, so we know it's XOR. What's on the left? On the left we have another binary operation, okay, and the operation is an addition. So let's put it in brackets just in case. And here we have an addition. On the left side of the addition we have another binary operation, okay, this is getting complicated. It's a multiplication, so here we know we have a multiplication. Let's go to the left of the multiplication, and we have actually the byte value, so the ch here. And this is being multiplied. On the right side we have a constant, and the constant is, okay, so it's this number 91331. So let's go back from multiplication to the addition. On the right side of the addition, so here, we have also a constant, and we are adding here 66123. Perfect. So let's go back to XOR, and on the right side of XOR, so here, we actually have another binary operation, and the operation is subtraction. Okay, so what are we subtracting from what? Okay, so on the, let's go with the right side first, because I can already see there's a constant here, and the constant is of value 1. So we are subtracting 1 from something. And on the left side we have, yeah, another more complex operation. It's actually a power. Okay, so we are grabbing the constant 2, and we are lifting it to the power of 20. Okay, minus 1. Okay, it seems to... that makes sense, because from that we get a byte pattern, or sorry, a bit pattern of 1 and then 20 zeros. And if we subtract 1 from that, we actually get all the bits set. We get 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 20 ones. Cool, so I think we have everything now for this statement, but however, there was one more statement. So let's go back here. I think everything is ready. Let's go here, this is the for, okay, and then we have one more statement in the body of a function. So statement index 2, and that's a return, okay. And we return nums. So let's return nums. I do believe this is reverse now, so let's test if it actually runs. And to test it, we need to switch back to the terminal and run I like trees py. As the flag, we can enter anything, so ASDF for example, because we just want to test if the syntax of what we've written is actually correct, and it seems it is. Perfect. So now that we have this, we can write the decoder. And the decoder is going to basically do the same thing as the encoder, just in reverse. So that means that both the order of operations is going to be reversed, but also that the operations themselves are going to be reversed if a given operation is reversible. So a decoder takes what the encoder returns, a list of integers, and for every integer in that list, we are going to, well, first of all, we have to XOR again that value that we got with the same constant, because XOR is actually reversible, of course. So we XOR it with 2 to the power of 20 minus 1. And then the next step is to decrease the value, decrement the value by 66,123, and then we just have to multiply it by 91,331. There we go. Now let's add it to, actually let's make a list of bytes, or rather a list of integers which we will convert then to bytes. And we are going to append the final value that we get to that list. Once we have that, what we can do is we can do return. We convert this list of integers into a bytes array, and we decode it. We convert it from bytes into a string by applying the UTF-8 encoding. Rather decoding in this case, I guess. Having this, we can run the decoder and we can run it on the list of constants which we have in the checker part of this code. Okay, so we have a decoder and we pass to the decoder the numbers which are then decoded into a string. Let's see if it works. And hey, we got the flag. The flag is let's copy paste this flag and see if it actually is accepted. It's obviously is going to be accepted, so there we go. This is the correct flag. And that's it for this Python Abstract Syntax Tree challenge. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, think about signing up to my Python Cyber Summer Camp. You will get the recordings of the past sessions, you will get access to the new sessions, you will get access to the exercises and to our private Discord channel as well. So I hope you have a pleasant evening, happy hacking, and take care. Cheers.